And that's Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas, obviously, number one ranked team in the nation for good reasons. I mean, they're a hell of a football team. Offense, defense, special teams, head coach. I mean, just everything about this organization. Texas is all the way back as a elite program, and they're going up against the Georgia Bulldogs, who have had some struggles this year. Can the Georgia Bulldogs knock off the number one ranked team and start to creep their way back up to the top of the ladder? Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Beardzone Sports Talk, where we review the stat sheets and we know the refs cheat. My name is David. I got Scooter with me tonight. Carlos, hey, me and Carlos, man, this has been a rough week for us, all right? But Carlos is still getting affected by Hurricane Milton. I have been lucky enough to, get power back. But we are going to be just rocking the dynamic duo tonight, me and Scooter. And Scooter, man, we got a lot to get into this week, and there's some pretty big games. We got Georgia, Texas, we got Alabama, Tennessee, but there are a couple of games that I would like to dive into that possibly could be an upset this Saturday. But before we get into that, do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That is the best way to continue to support us this college season. Scooter, one of the first games that I want to get into is Nebraska versus Illinois. Illinois is ranked 16th. Nebraska is coming in. They got off to a very hot start at the beginning of the year. They ended up losing a couple weeks ago to Indiana. So it's been kind of shaky, but could this be a trap game for Illinois? Are we going to be seeing the Indiana? Sorry, I'm getting my eyes mixed up.
Trap game for Indiana. I don't know, man. When you look at it in historical, right? Nebraska runs away with this game. ESPN though has it at the Hoosiers at a 76% favorite for this game. That's insane. They are playing in Indiana. I think it's the highest Indiana's been ranked in probably my whole lifetime. Nebraska only has one loss, and that was to Colorado. When you look at it, dude, you got very pass-heavy offenses in Indiana, man. They don't really turn the ball over. They only have 2 interceptions from their quarterback and 14 touchdowns from Rourke. On the run game, they look pretty much identical between Dowdle and Ellison. To me, it's how well does Raiola rebound, right? Like, I know we had the whole loss to Colorado a few weeks ago, and now they're playing IU. But Nebraska
they lost Illinois a couple weeks ago as well. So they've lost 2 games, Colorado and Illinois. That was the team that I got mixed up with earlier.
Oh, sorry. You are correct. They lost to Illinois, and they beat Colorado. My bad. So, thank you for fact-checking me. I appreciate that. But if you look at their scheme and their stats, they're very identical. Indiana being ranked 16th right now and still being undefeated. I mean, have they really played anybody though? Let's just review this, right? FIU, Western Illinois, UCLA. Highest points were 13 against them against UCLA. Then you played Charlotte. You played Maryland, probably your toughest matchup so far. Then you play Northwestern. And then you're rolling with Nebraska. Nebraska, to me, has the harder schedule so far, and they're the least favorited. They also have probably the harder setup right now with Raiola being a freshman. Granted, he's like junior Mahomes lookalike, but I would like to see a tough matchup here. I don't know they got a very heavy favorite, 6.5 under for Indiana with a 50-point spread. I would have to take Indiana just because of home field advantage, but I don't know if they're in for an upset. I just don't know. Like, is this the Nebraska of the future, or like what we've seen in the past? But they're more spread out. We thought it was with Taylor Martinez, then he got hurt, he transferred and all that. I just don't know. I really don't.
Yeah, and it's funny because Indiana, they have the sixth ranked defense, and then they're fourth ranked in offense. But again, you just listed off the teams that they played, and it's like, okay, maybe this is why they're ranked so highly in those two categories. Because who have they truly faced? Maybe they've just been able to move the ball up and down the field, and they've been obviously able to make um, defensive stands against some of these teams that really aren't worth anything. Um, it should be a good game. I'm going to go with my team, Nebraska. I like them. I've liked them since the beginning of the year. That's the team that I chose to go with this year. But I do like Nebraska. I don't think I don't think Indiana. This is the first team I feel like Indiana truly has to face this year, and it's a very competitive Nebraska team who has top 15 defense as well. So I don't think that their offense is going to be able to move as easily up and down the field as they've been in weeks past. But let's go to another game, and it's a rivalry game, and that's LSU and Arkansas. LSU is obviously the ranked team here. I believe they're ranked eight right
Yep.
now in the nation.
Yep.
We talked about them last week. And now we're talking about them again this week. Do they get the win again, or are we underestimating this LSU team? Because I feel like we're expecting them to lose a game here soon.
And they're probably going to lose to Arkansas because of how Arkansas played against Tennessee. They beat Tennessee, and now they played against Alabama. And Bama, if any one of their fans are listening right now, y'all should have lost that game, 100%. And it comes down to the junior quarterback that they have behind center for Arkansas. And Arkansas is playing at home, and Woo Pig is pretty strong right now. They've had pretty good culture being built around them, and their quarterback Green, he's got 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, but he's incredibly mobile. And he's going to have a breakout game, and it's Brian Kelly is overdue for a loss. I just have a feeling, and I don't trust LSU right now. I think is it Nussmeier? He's got a great arm and good field vision, but I just don't know if he makes those clutch plays or consistently good throws. Running back is very light for LSU. They're very pass heavy, where the vice versa to that. Arkansas is very run RPO type build, and Arkansas runs very well. Historically, even you had McFadden, Peyton Hillis, and all the other guys, and now you got Jackson back there. And they do a control game. It's very similar to watching Army or Navy or Air Force, right? You control the time clock, you usually control the game. And that's how Arkansas has been winning. And their losses are pretty well ranked, man. And you beat Tennessee, which Tennessee's kind of suspect too, right? But LSU, I don't think, survives the SEC to the championship, man. It's a hard road for them. I like Arkansas in this matchup. I think LSU takes the L here.
Yeah. Looking at LSU and what they've been able to do this year, they started the year and they lost to USC, so they came out of the gate with a loss. Then they had a good win streak there, and they've been winning games up until this point, with the win against Ole Miss last week. But we talked about it last week. We said one of these coaches is gonna get the L. One of them always fumbles the ball in these sorts of games. And, it was just Ole Miss, the one that ended up fumbling the ball this time around. But, I mean, if you look at this matchup against Arkansas, Arkansas is a very tough team to play. It's in Arkansas. It's not going to be easy. They're going to be on the road. They're going to have to face a very hostile environment there in Arkansas. And I think that this offense for Arkansas is more dangerous than a lot of people are, giving them credit for. So I like Arkansas in this game as well. Let's move on to the next game, and it almost feels like we're doing a little bit of injustice here because he's not here to defend his Miami Hurricanes, and that is Carlos. But we're going to talk about this Miami team because this Miami team has been an absolute just wrecking ball in the ACC, right? And coming into this year, they've not lost a game, but over the past couple of weeks, we've seen them get exposed. We've seen them get behind, but then they had this guy named Cam Akers, and that kid is as cool as it can be when it comes down to being under pressure and being in the big moment. I love this guy. I love how he responds to big games. They have a big game this week with an in conference rival with Louisville, and it almost feels like that this might be another trap game. Do you feel Miami can come out with the win this week, especially after? I mean, we had Cal last week. They should have beaten them easily, but holy crap, man, we were up until 3:00 in the morning here on the East Coast, watching that game, and it was a nail biter. You had couple weeks ago where they played Virginia Tech, and I mean, according to some people, that they lost that game because some people say that was a catch. So what's going to happen this week with Louisville? Because I feel like as much as I like what Miami does and what Cam Ward can do on that field, I don't know, man. They might lose.
And I think they do. I know Carlos doesn't want to hear that, and I really wish he was here to defend them. But their entire schedule involves 0 ranked teams. I'm going to say that again. Miami has 0 ranked teams currently in their schedule. You played UF, you embarrassed UF. You've played, who exactly? Cal, Virginia Tech, tough games, which you should have blown out to begin with. You played USF, blowout. You played Ball State, complete blowout. You played FAMU, blowout. And who are you going to play next? Louisville, who was ranked but have fallen off the map. You have FSU next. You got Duke. Duke is no joke, but they're not ranked. You got Georgia Tech, who embarrassed FSU, but now we watch FSU's play, and is Georgia Tech that good? Or if FSU's that's trash? Then you have Wake Forest. That's a give-me game. Then you have Syracuse. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But your schedule looks weak. Weak! And you barely won 2 of your last games. And you're going into an away game again in Louisville. You're probably going to get upset. Because let's face it, man, you got Cam Ward, who's probably a Heisman guy. You got a great run game. Your defense is pretty decent, but you had 30-some-odd points back-to-back scored on you, and you're in the top 10 against unranked opponents? Come on, man. ACC has the weakest, to me, the ACC has the weakest Power 4 conference in the NCAA, bar none. You got Clemson, who's ranked currently and only has 1 loss, but they looked incredibly sloppy, and now they're kind of getting their momentum. I think Miami's getting the grace of the fact that it's Miami, and we're still living in 2000, 2001, where they do have the talent, they do have the ability to win, but if you get another 28 points scored on you in the first half and you got nothing to answer for it, man, you're going to get a really hard look. Like, we looked at the Georgia-Bama game. We looked at the Georgia-Vandy game. You watch the Tennessee loss to Arkansas. Then you watch the Tennessee-UF game. And UF, stellar defense right now and playing good ball, but they still lost. And I would argue Miami should be absolutely on upset alert. They're not even entirely favored for this game. It's like a 55% chance of winning. And there's like a 60-point over-under. I mean, that should not even be the case unless it's 60 points in your favor. That's nuts.
Yeah.
Louisville's not a chump team anyways. But if I'm a Miami Hurricane fan, I'm going into this game really worried because if you lose to an unranked opponent, I say goodbye. Because the ACC, unless they can play Clemson in the championship and win, I don't see them having a strong argument with no ranked opponents, especially at the end of the season. Preseason polls, got it. They're a complete joke. But as the season progresses, and we're about halfway through it already, if you're not playing a ranked opponent, your strength of schedule looks really suspect. And that's the issue that we had with the Florida State debacle last year about losing Jordan Travis. They were undefeated, but who'd you play? And you lost your star player. Do we have the same conversation if Cam Ward gets injured late in this season? Do we still
If
put him
Cam
in the
Ward
playoff?
gets injured, I mean
Probably.
that's a rough road for
I
Miami, because
know.
I can tell you this right now, he is the lifeblood of that team. I'm going to give it to Miami though this week. It's going to be a hostile environment. Apparently, that game is sold out. It's in Louisville again. This is an ACC rivalry. I feel like that they always play each other really good. But Miami's coming off a bye week, and I'm never going to bet against Cam Ward. Everything that I see that this kid does week in and week out, it doesn't matter what the situation is, the guy shows up in big moments. And it honestly looks like he's not even challenged in some cases. I mean, he's, leisurely jogs down the field, to convert on a 3rd and 13. I mean, the guy just stays poised, and I don't think that this matchup is going to be too big. I think that they know where they're at, that they've come off 2 very close games before the bye week last week. Now they're going into Louisville, who is a good team, cannot be slept on. But I think Cam Ward and the Miami Hurricanes pull out to 7-0, and they need to, because you've made the argument. If they lose the rest of this schedule, they have really no one who is going to help them in their ranking. And so they're led with no other choice but to beat Clemson in the ACC championship game in order to, make their national title run, a reality. So, but let's go into a couple of teams who are playing each other. We got some heavyweight matchups this week, Scooter. And the first heavyweight matchup I want to talk about is Tennessee and Alabama. Tennessee got the loss last week against Arkansas, which was not good, right? But now they play Alabama, who honestly they've not been playing all that well either the past couple weeks. So both of these teams are looking for a turnaround. It should be a good game. I don't know. I don't trust Milroe. I really don't. I don't like what I've seen from him out there on the field. But who do you like in this matchup, and what are some things that you're taking away from this matchup on Saturday?
It's crazy because if you think about it, they see Milroe as the true dual threat. And you look at Nico, he can actually still run. He just prefers to chuck it, 90 yards down the field because he's in Josh Heupel's offense. Tennessee lost to Arkansas. That was an absolute sloppy game. Tennessee was completely embarrassed. That's why I like Arkansas over LSU. Then you got Bama, who lost to Vandy. You got outcoached. DeBoer got outcoached so hard by Vandy, and Vandy is not a joke. You got Kentucky, who's not a joke. We're seeing a transition in the SEC, not only with Texas basically running the table now, and now you got Bama and under new leadership being truly tested this year. And there's absolutely zero excuse for Bama. You have premium talent. You have a really good coach. But is Bama legit? Is Tennessee legit? Those are the questions you need to answer, right? Is Tennessee going to be the team that can threaten the SEC? Can they beat Georgia? Not with the way we've seen. Bama beat Georgia, but also almost gave up that victory in the second half because Kirby Smart adjusted. My thing is, you almost lost to, South Carolina was last week for Bama. Let me correct myself. You almost lost. South Carolina is a rebuilding organization. We know that. When you pressure Milroe, you get very inconsistent play. Because he wants to go to his legs, and he should because he can run faster than everybody on the field. And we've already seen that this year and last year. But can he make those pressure throws? Can he flex outside the pocket and find Ryan Williams or any of the other guys out there to make it a touchdown or a large gain, right? But every single time you've seen some pretty fast or heavy pressure against Milroe, he tends to make bad decisions. That's not to say he can totally prove everybody wrong. I just don't know if Tennessee can do that. I know Tennessee's got a pretty decent defense, but you kind of jacked it up with UF. You lost to Kentucky or Arkansas. If Tennessee's passing game falters in any shape or form, their entire strategy kind of goes out the window. They're very inconsistent when it comes to the run game. Nico is basically their entire offense, just slinging it down. You cannot get away playing Alabama's defense with side screens and little dump offs. You're just not going to win. That defense is very, very good. And the thing for Tennessee as well is their defense. Can you stop Milroe? Can you stop Ryan Williams? Because it seems like the entire college football world right now can't stop a 17-year-old playing against 5-star athletes. Granted, I'm pretty sure he was pretty highly rated. The kid barely graduated out of high school, and he's kicking ass in the college already. He's a hell of a talent. But if Tennessee's defense cannot hold up against Milroe in that dual threat, especially because that run game is very good for Alabama, people forget that. They see Ryan Williams and Milroe chucking it down, right? That run game is brutal. I would argue if Tennessee can stop the run and make them one-dimensional and get after Milroe, they have a chance. But if Tennessee has any struggles in the passing game, it's all Bama, dude. I don't know how Bama loses this game when I look at it in the facets. Tennessee is very good, but I haven't found their offense to be threatening on the run side.
Yeah.
No matter how we go vertical, how many say quarterback is king, you have to be able to run the ball. And Tennessee's offense is basically just passes, and if they block their vertical game and they have to go screen, like I said, screen or dump offs, it's not going to go well. I'd take Bama.
Yeah, and I need to correct myself because I said that Tennessee lost to Arkansas last week. It was 2 weeks ago that they lost to Arkansas. They played Florida last week, and it was 23-17. So, not the greatest showing against a Florida team who has not been good this year. Now, granted, Florida does always play Tennessee very well, so maybe that's just, history with that. But Tennessee, you're talking about the vertical game. So over the past 4 weeks, going back all the way to when they played Kennesaw State, I believe it was, Nico hasn't thrown for over 200 yards in any of those 4 games. And so, and we've seen them struggle, right? So, you hit it right on the head. When that passing game is not up to par, that we saw at the beginning of the year, right? When they were throwing like 400 or 500 yards a game. And Nico was just looking like a Heisman guy out there. This is going to be a rough game. So if Tennessee wants to kind of turn things around, this is the game to do it. It'd be a big time win for them against Alabama because they are the underdogs coming into this. So it would definitely be a big time win. I would love to see Tennessee get the win here, but I think Alabama is just going to be too strong for them. I think that defense for Alabama is going to hold strong. So let's go on to the next one, which is the game. I feel like this is the game of the week. It should be the game of the week. And that's Texas Longhorns and the Georgia Bulldogs. Texas, obviously, number 1 ranked team in the nation for good reasons. They're a hell of a football team. Offense, defense, special teams, head coach. Just everything about this organization. Texas is all the way back as a elite program, and they're going up against the Georgia Bulldogs, who have had some struggles this year. Can the Georgia Bulldogs knock off the number 1 ranked team and start to creep their way back up to the top of the ladder?
When I first saw the schedules in the beginning of the year, I saw Texas, and then I saw a Georgia matchup. And I think this is Texas's first true welcome to the SEC game. And what a matchup. Whoever did the schedule for Texas and putting this right here in the middle of the season, I don't know what you were thinking. I would have put this way later in the game. For Georgia, kudos. Whoever got that agreement, you made a ton of money out of here. To me, I look at this game, and in every weird scenario, it can also be in some weird, and this, keep in mind, I am a little weird sometimes, and I think a little crazy. This could potentially be an SEC championship game. And how things are playing out and who's already lost to who and everyone else. We still got rivalry weeks and everything else. We could potentially see, like we discussed last time, as a 2-loss SEC championship. It could happen. This could also be a national championship game. Think about it. If we do this playoff bracket right and everyone's ranked accordingly and everything else, this could be an SEC championship natty conversation. Now, Texas has the ability to go undefeated, especially if they beat Georgia. I'm not going to stop on the Georgia train by any means. It's still Kirby Smart. They're still an excellent team. Carson Beck did make some really boneheaded moves in the Bama game, and he's shown some inconsistency and accuracy, which was really strange because he was, if not the top guy for quarterback moving into this year. And now we're looking at Shedeur Sanders and Ewers and Jackson Dart, and now we got Carson Beck somewhere shuffled in there, right? If Beck can be accurate, I think they have a higher chance to win this game for the Dogs. And if that defense can stop the beast of Texas, man, you got Archie Manning and Ewers. Like, who's playing quarterback doesn't particularly matter. You can sling the ball down the field or you can run it. But my question is, can Texas's defense truly stand up against an SEC style, like, powerhouse like Georgia? That's my thing. You got the offense, we got it. But can you actually stand up against them for 4 quarters? We saw that with Bama, and that was a higher scoring game than I thought it would be with Georgia and Bama. If Texas, and Sarkisian does this, because he learned when he was at USC, when he left Saban's, teachery, right? And Saban, for everything I hated about playing or watching him win for every single year, was he never let off the gas. Sarkisian took that at USC and somehow fumbled all of that, and now took it to Texas, and he is taking that baby and he is running with it. You cannot let off the gas. If you let off the gas against any SEC opponent, as we saw with Bama and Vandy, you're going to lose. And my thing is, again, if Texas can put in points early and sustain it towards the halftime, they got to keep it going. I don't care if you blow them out. You got to keep going, because Georgia almost came back against Bama. And quite honestly, they probably should have, except there's blown coverage because of Ryan Williams just apparently just go for the Heisman as a 17-year-old. But
and that's what I was going to get
into. I'm sleep. This is such a great game. This is such a great game.
Yeah. And
I got the Dogs though.
Ooh, you got Georgia?
Yeah. Welcome to the SEC, Texas. That's my game.
I'm not mad at that pick. I mean, Kirby Smart. He's Kirby Smart. Georgia Bulldogs. Man, this is going to be a good game. It's going to be a bloodbath, I feel like. I mean, this is just going to be, an all-out dogfight. I mean, it really is. Here's the thing with Georgia, though. You said it earlier about the Bama game. They need to They need to play a complete game. This is not the team. Texas is not the team to get down 3-4 scores on like they did against Bama. They're not going to let you come back. They're not. I don't know exactly what happened with Bama a couple weeks ago. They let Georgia back in. Ultimately, they got the win. In a thrilling victory there at the end of the game. But Texas is not the team to do this against. You've got to come out, and from the very first whistle to the very last one, you need to be able to play a complete game, because I think Kirby Smart said it this week. Texas is the most complete team that they've faced this year. And in order to beat them, you got to play a complete game. They need to be able to come out. They need to be able to score fast, get on top, and stick with Texas, because the offense of Texas as well can score at will. And it's just not a team that you want to be playing behind, especially because it is going to be in Texas. So you're going to be on the road. You're going to be in a hostile environment. The Georgia Bulldogs, I understand that the majority of their team are used to that. They thrive under pressure because of Kirby Smart and the way that he's built the culture there. But Texas is not the team to say, "I will get him next quarter." It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So should be a very good game to watch. Definitely watch it Saturday, 7:30 this week. And yeah, you're going to want to tune into that one because this could potentially be, Scooter, you said it, the SEC championship preview. I mean, this is.
Or, since we are in the SEC, Texas is currently undefeated. You have LSU, who's currently undefeated in the SEC. And who does Texas play last this season? Who's also undefeated in the SEC? Good old Texas A&M Aggies. And I tell you what, there's something going on in Kyle Field, and I know they're young. I know you got a new coach, but something's clicking right now. And if Texas fumbles on this one and then you go in and play Texas A&M, does Texas lose 2 games? I don't know. The scenario for the SEC championship game is very wild right now. All speculation, and I'm all for it. Let's dude, I'm so ready for Saturday.
Saturday should be a very good game. Should be a lot of good games on Saturday. So, but if you're rocking with us all the way until here, we definitely appreciate it, guys and girls. You know, we're not discriminating over here at the Beardzone. So, but every Wednesday we come out with these college episodes. We kind of break down, kind of look at some games to definitely circle and to watch to, get you caught up in everything college football. Do us a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, because that is the best way to continue to support us. Until next Wednesday.
Beardzone out.